All right. Thank you, everybody who's here. Thank you, Cheryl, for being the first. I think you might be the first to join. Oh, I see Oksana's in here. Thank you for coming to the Why Ukraine live stream today. Coming to you from Ukraine. I am an American. I've been living in Ukraine for more than 4 years. Well, there's a lot you can know about me. I guess you'll have to go back through and watch the videos maybe. Today we're going to talk about the news. We're going to talk about what's going on here in Ukraine. We're going to get a viewpoint, hopefully, from Ukraine. That's the point, right? Of me being here and talking to you guys. Anastasia, thank you very much for coming. Really, really appreciate it. Give me one moment. All right. Yeah, so the first thing, before we get to the news, which we will get there. Before we get to the news, I want to talk about the donations that you guys have given, which have been amazing, I can tell you. But there was one thing. I mean, it's I have good and bad news, is what I'm about to tell you. So, I had, and I took it down from the website, okay, for reasons that I will explain. But I had, oh, Catherine, thanks for coming. I had up on the website a link to buy plates and a plate carrier. It's the first two things that I put up on the website: a plates and a plate carrier, because back in November, when I first set up this website, That is what the International Legion told me that they needed. The thing is plates in a plate carrier, it's expensive, okay? And I'm a very small channel, and you guys have limited funds, naturally. And so I believe the total cost was $880. I successfully bought, here we go, well, it's part of a plate carrier. Here it is. Woo! Plate carrier. And, oh wait, I better make myself full screen. Now you can see. So, this is the plate carrier. Goes on like this, and I am going to try it on and model it for everybody. Jonathan, thanks for coming. Anyway, so we officially got the plate carrier here, and it was a real pain in the ass. It was a major story that I want to just tell you about. And then second, here we go. They're really not that heavy. It's 2.8 kilograms. It's just I had to reach way over in my back. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. So 2.8 kilograms. You can check them out. We successfully got them. Now, these are Ukrainian made, I believe, by Global Ballistics here. And yeah, it is really super awesome. Slightly curved plates. Now, these are polyethylene and ceramic, is my understanding. And from the pictures that come with, let's see here. Yeah. Okay, here. This is what I was looking for. They send a nice little certification to show you that they are, brand new, and then they have this nice little picture showing what happens when it gets shot with a AK rounds, different types of rounds and stuff. So here you can see that in a close-up. So it's very nice. And the plate carrier is extremely well made, I think. This one is at its smallest, so it's probably going to be a little bit tight for me, but I will put it on and show you what it looks like. So these, if I can show it to the camera without knocking my, there we go. So these kind of snap in. Snap in like that. So it has shoulder straps and side straps. Now, you can put plates in here. Side plates are highly recommended as well. So there's a Velcro thing inside here that you can shove plates or whatever else you have in there. There we go. It slips in very easy, and these the point is that it should be solid. But when you need to take this off, or when a medic needs to get your plates off for some reason, they should be able to do so very easily, and this very much accomplishes that. So I'm not wearing the plates in this right now. I'm just going to, like I said, this is going to be a little tight because it's at its smallest, and everything here in Ukraine is too small for me, but there we go. So it sits nice and high. Obviously, there's no weight in it, so it's sitting higher than it would, but not by too much, So there we go. That's how it fits. It looks like I'm wearing a dress. So, Max, thanks for coming. Yeah, I'll just wear it like this. What the hell? So it's very nice. Very comfortable. Yeah. So just one little problem. I went to my commander, the sergeant who's in charge of distributing stuff, everything within the 4th Training Battalion. So, if you'll recall, we're trying to support through my website 2 different parts of the International Legion primarily. That's the 4th Training Battalion, which is where all the new recruits go, and then Alpha Company of the 1st Battalion. Okay. And then of course we also have Tony, who we'll talk about maybe a little bit later. I want to see if he joins. I'm not sure if he'll be able to join. He's in Ukraine, of course, with his unit, but so the problem is, I contacted my my sergeant in the 4th Training Battalion, who these are supposed to be for, and I said, "Hey, I got you plates in a plate carrier," and he's like, "We don't need those right now." Right? Because it's been, like, when did I start doing the fundraising for this? Okay. Like, let's see, March. So let's say February, January, December. So more than 3 months ago. And that, they have all the plates and plate carriers they need. Now, he said, now we need backpacks. We're always behind a little bit. We need backpacks. We need soap. I know this sounds crazy, but that's what they need right now, not plates and plate carriers. So now I have a plate and a plate carrier, and I'm like, hey, yeah, timing is everything. KKSGG, welcome, by the way. So I contacted my guys in the Alpha Company, 1st Battalion, and they said, well, we could always use an extra set of plates. Because when you get shot or something that are like, when you get a plate carrier and it's fitted to you, which this one is not fitted to me, I can tell you. It's comfortable, but if I were gonna wear it through my whole live stream, I would want to like completely completely like rejig everything, make it bigger. It's too small for me. It's adjustable. It just needs to be adjusted, is what I'm trying to say. So I actually did, when the day I got these, which was the day before yesterday. Is Malcolm Nance in the International Legion? He was, Cheryl. He was, but I think he has left the International Legion now. That is the last thing that I heard. There was some big stupid drama scandal back in like 2023. I don't remember it all. But yeah, I don't think he is in the International Legion now. I could be wrong. A lot of people have come and gone, is what I'm saying. Very few people who were originally in the International Legion are also in it now, essentially. Yeah. So if you guys know of somebody who needs an extra, I might send the plates, okay, to the guys who said they need an extra set of plates. I'll probably send those because I don't want these just sitting around. But now I've got an extra plate carrier. Now, I do have up here a fundraiser for a complete kit. And that's because some people asked, like, hey, you had a link on here for a complete kit. And actually that $50 there, that actually went to pay for part of it. I took that part of that $50 and went to pay for the plate carrier. Um, I knew you'd give us some scuttlebutt. Yeah. Listen, guys, I have to just say, there are a lot of things. It kind of sucks being connected as I am, because there are things that I can't tell you. Sometimes it's just silly drama stuff, but things that I can't tell you are going on, um, because people talk to me in confidence, which is good. But yeah, anyway, but we got them. It was successful. The plates will go to somebody who needs them, out on the front line, and the plate carrier, we'll just put it into the kit when we eventually do this fundraiser. Now, um, oh, he was on Silicon Curtain this morning. Well, that's good to know. I'm glad he's still out there doing stuff. That's cool. So he's okay. So Cheryl says, I think he may be training soldiers now. He was on Silicon Curtain this morning. Cool. Very cool. Yeah. So let's get into some other stuff. First of all, I am going to be adding some more things. Like, for instance, the 4th Training Battalion told me we need backpacks. Okay. They need soap, dish soap, and hand soap. They need backpacks right now. I'm going to put that up on here. I'm going to put a fundraiser for a vehicle on the site here, for the Alpha Company 1st Battalion. Their vehicle got destroyed, and I think they're getting a new one, but they really need more than one for medical evacuations. And I've been looking at the local, the equivalent of Craigslist, which is called Olix, together with one of the guys in the 1st Battalion, and we think we've found like a truck, that's I think it's $3,000 for it's like a Ford. I mean, that's the kind of truck we're gonna be going for. I just, of course, by the time we raise that money, that truck may be gone, but I'm gonna put it up on the website, and that's what we're gonna try for. Incidentally, over the last week, I've added a bunch of stuff here that you can, if you'd like to make a donation to my work. Right now, I've got stickers, like laptop stickers, which are really freaking cool. I've got them right here, in fact. Here, I should go to that. There we go. So laptop and phone stickers, which are really awesome. And you literally, I would keep them in the plastic because you will literally never get these outside of Ukraine. Maybe Catherine, when you come here. Yeah. So I've got a bunch of different versions of that. And, it's just a way that, if you'd like to make a donation to the work I'm doing here, basically 50% goes to the ZSU, and 50% goes to me. To be honest, 50% goes to a video editor because I just hired a video editor literally yesterday. So you can expect that the quality of my videos on coming out here are going to be higher and more frequent. Maybe fewer live streams. Maybe I think I'm gonna maybe cut my live streams down to like twice a week. Well, I'm doing twice a week now, but I mean maybe just on the weekends, or maybe I might stop doing live streams during the week at this time and just do them on the weekends during the day, because honestly, getting up at 4:30 in the morning pretty much, just ruins the rest of my day, essentially. So, I'm looking forward to that. And if you want to help that along, um, this is the place to do it. I've been adjusting the shipping rates essentially on these like magnets and stickers and stuff, because like the shipping rate I had set here to buy like one freaking refrigerator magnet was $15. And that's crazy. But I didn't exactly know. I was just reading off of the websites for yeah, thank you. Thank you, KK's GG. um the the cost of shipping is it's by the kilogram, or I guess by the gram, if you will, and it's very difficult for me to calculate. So, hey, Cipher, oh, thanks for coming in. You came in early this time. Um, so I'm adjusting that slightly. So right now, the shipping cost, I have it at $10. But the thing about the shipping cost is, so the shipping cost is going to be the same whether you buy one magnet or like 10 magnets, because it's by weight. So uh, up to, I think, 2 kilograms, it's this it is a shame, but it's the same shipping cost. So you could buy a big giant pile of these freaking stickers if you wanted and pass them out to all your friends. And so I just want to point that out. I know it seems stupid that it's $5 for these, you know, awesome stickers, but then um $10 for shipping? That sounds ridiculous. Well, okay, so if you buy like 5, you're still only going to pay $10 for shipping. That's the point. Okay. So it again, any donations you make here go towards the video editor that I've now hired. Okay. So now that we've dealt with that, I do want to talk about some people in my on my Facebook page for Why Ukraine, which I do occasionally check, even shockingly, who are saying, they said, "Hey James, I think you got hacked." Um, Hang on, here I am trying to share my screen with you, and these are the stickers as I'm talking. I always forget which screen I have up. I really should just stay on this screen with my little small video inserts. These are the stickers I'm talking about. These are $5. Again, you're making a donation. This is like a thank you gift, you know. This people have bought these as well, so these are genuine Ukrainian coins to help. This is the only one that if you make a donation to this, it's not going to the channel. It's going to these people right here, my wife's family. So yeah. In any case, now you see it. There it is. I'll stop talking about it now. But so somebody on my Why Ukraine page said, James, I think you got hacked. All that's showing up on your Why Ukraine page is a bunch of stupid animal videos. And of course, they are stupid videos. That is absolutely true. But the point of this is that I'm trying to break through to normal Americans, not like you guys, normal Americans who, I mean, they care about Ukraine. Oh, interesting. Okay, Jonathan, that is so interesting. You should mention that. So, Jonathan asked, I am looking for some promotional items for my company this year. Do you have a company in Ukraine that is creative. Yes, I am actively researching. I have on my, if you could see my other screen, I have about 5 different companies that I'm actively researching right now, to that do things as you described. So like promotional pens and stuff, wood carvings and things like that. You know, um, yeah. So I will be posting those to my site, and as I I'm able. It's all about, can they ship to the United States, or do I have to have it shipped to my address here and then I ship it to the United States? Can they accept payment from outside of Ukraine? The problem with like buying the plates and the plate carrier, as I did, was, so it totaled about 30,000 grivnas. So it's about $880, something like that. I couldn't buy it using my American card. I had to put it on my wife's credit card, her Ukrainian credit card. Basically the bank, in other words, the person I was buying it from, the company I was buying it from, their bank would not accept payments from outside of Ukraine. I'm like, what the hell? And this is all done through the post office. The post office here, it's called Nova Poshta, and there's also Ukroposhta, and they process payments. So if you want to sell something online, the person can pick it up at the post office, and they like inspect it, to make sure it's what they said it was, and then you pay for it at the post office. This is how 90% of people buy things online here. You pay for it at the post office, and then the post office transfers that money to the seller's bank account. So as opposed to selling on Etsy or Amazon, they have equivalents to that as well. Yeah, and there is blockchain to banks, but again, there's all sorts of restrictions on money coming in to Ukraine, which is incredibly stupid. It's their attempt to prevent corruption and money laundering, but it's stupid laws that only hurt the little guy. The oligarchs that they're trying to stop, the rich people, they have other ways of doing this. So it's just stupid bureaucracy and laws. Okay. The point I'm trying to make here about these videos that I have made, and I'll show you on my shorts. Look, I mean, I've kind of been spamming these stupid videos, okay? But the point is, I'm trying to get through to people who are, not necessarily watching, pro-Ukraine live streams, or don't even watch the news. Maybe they're pro-Ukraine, but they don't think about it every day, So look, this is the most successful video I've ever made, guys. This is and so all it is it's a picture of Patron, the little dog, the mine sniffing dog, and then I just have a little handwritten message that says "Support Ukraine," and then with my with the shop address. Sometimes I don't even have that. Sometimes it's just "Support Ukraine," or a picture of one of these magnets that says "Stand with Ukraine." But 14,000 people have watched this stupid video, and that's 14,000 people that have never even heard of. Hello, Mary. Thanks for coming. And some of these, obviously, they're not getting thousands of views, but some of them do. Like, here's one. When you're not a twin, you're a triplet. And by the way, this is one of my wife's embroidery. She does embroidery, okay, and this is one of her embroideries that she did from like a pattern. It's her favorite one, I think. And then I just have this. It's about as low rent as you could possibly get. So it's probably a good thing that I'm hiring. Thank you. Oh, KKSGG, I'm glad to hear that they are shareable. That's good to know. Please share them. The toilet short. Yeah. Thanks, Cheryl. I liked your toilet short the best, she says. That one, it will go down in infamy, to be sure. Um, for that. Okay. Um, Thank you. I needed a little laugh today. All right. Well, now that we've messed around with that for 30 minutes, let's get into the news and talk about things that are happening out there. Um, uh, First thing, yeah, first laugh all day. Good, good, good. Um, so this is great, great news from the Kiev Independent, but a lot of sources have reported on it. Um, so Ukraine begins the rotation of troops who have been fighting for a long time. So again, there's been guys out there on the battlefield who, have just been living in trenches for 2 years, basically. Hey, Flo, good to meet you, or see you again, rather. Sorry, it's early, guys, still for me. 6:20 in the morning. Whew. Um, but yeah, this is fantastic, and I think that my take on this is that I think they're going to find, as they start to do this, they're going to find more people here in Ukraine voluntarily joining the army, which is a really a great thing. So, and I also like they're changing their recruitment, or starting to change their recruitment here. So they're making army recruitment more like um, more like getting hired for a regular job, or maybe even more like United States Army recruitment. Oh, Cheryl, yes, we I talked about that last live stream. So Cheryl said, "Did I tell you Russians are selling stolen Ukrainian grain in Poland via Belarus?" Oh, I didn't know it was stolen Ukrainian grain. I know that the Russians are dumping uh, grain onto the EU market into Poland through Belarus. Russians selling stolen grain in Poland. Let's see if that finds it. Yeah, so this is something I talked about last time. Russia is selling grain at a dumping price, bringing down the world markets, and that's really what's affecting the Polish farmers, ironically, right? Uh, who exports stolen Ukrainian grain? This is interesting. I have never seen this website before. It's called Molfar. Molfar is the Ukrainian, maybe Carpathian word for like shaman or wizard, essentially. Or if we were in New Mexico or Arizona, Cheryl, you might say curandero, medicine man. Um, yeah, no, I'm not seeing the article about that, but I will investigate that, Cheryl. I have no doubt that they're doing that by design, no doubt. Yes, like everything the Russians do, it's unnecessarily cruel in many ways. You know. Um, so going back to this, going back to military recruitment in Ukraine, this is just a really important thing. I mean, I know that there's a lot of other stuff going on out there. There's, the Russian Freedom Legion is invading Russia, and there's, Macron. We're gonna get to all of that, I promise. But this is actually the most important thing that's going on in Ukraine right now. This right here, military recruitment changes. Okay, so the article says. This is not a military enlistment office, but a place where a person can come and find out in which brigade, branch of the army, or in which profession they can go to serve. A person is guaranteed to get this profession and to get to a specific unit. And he said that on national television. Who is it? Is it Mikhailo Fedorov doing this? Oh, it's Ivan Fedorov. That's who it is. Okay. So, Dobry ranok. Sorry, my wife's father just came in. Oh, you can. Okay. I was just telling him he can use the other computer. we bought my wife's parents a cheap computer for it was like a used put together computer a friend of ours did for like $150 or something. So it's really cool to see them learning how to use the computer and stuff now. But I mean, we bought it before the war 2 years ago, but we didn't set it up all the way. Anyway, enough about that. Let's keep going. So this is really important because one big resistance that people have had here, and it's even something that I have, had my reservations about, that I am going to join the army, and despite all of my expertise with network engineering and all this other stuff, that they're just going to throw me into a trench, and by the way, so my wrist is okay, guys. My wrist is okay now. All right. But last month, working on my wrist, I fucked up my back. It's so frustrating. And I mean bad. I didn't know how bad it was. So I'm doing just to give you an idea of what I'm. Okay, we'll go here. I am doing these exercises every day now. I wasn't. I was laying off exercising completely for a while, but there's these special exercises. It's called the McGill Big Three. All these lower back exercises. I'm gonna get there. It's so frustrating. I mean, my back is hurting literally right now. You know. The real Dave Seaman. um, it took the real Dave Seaman. Thanks for joining from the Netherlands, Oblast. Yes, that's a very good point. So Jonathan just said they are going to have to pay more than for jobs in the army that are not loved as much. That's a really, really good point. It's kind of like the reverse of normal, where grunt work, essentially what we call grunt work in America, should get paid more, but in the United States, if you think about it, if you're going to be, SEAL Team 6 or something, you're going to get paid more than the average IT worker in the army, for example. That sounds reasonable to me, you know. So, but yeah, it's gonna necessarily change things. It's gonna, let's say, reshape the marketplace, as it were, you know. Um, So anyway, it's a positive thing, but it's interesting what you said, Jonathan, about they're gonna have to pay more for jobs in the army that are not loved as much. Um, the real Dave Seaman. Well, no, it's okay, Dave. You just missed all the boring stuff. We actually are just starting on the news. Before I was talking about donations and stickers and hiring a video editor and all this other stuff. So, you came at the right time. It's okay. Um, so there's a real stigma here in Ukraine, and I think this is true in. I've been told, in fact, that this is true in all of the former Soviet bloc countries. That soldiers are not honored traditionally in the way that they're not looked at with a great deal of respect. Essentially, um, you're if you are or were a soldier, it's expected that you're going to be an alcoholic, borderline psychotic. Um, for historical reasons, but but also someone who doesn't have a career, someone who just joined the military because they couldn't do anything else and their mom wouldn't let them live at home, essentially. you know um oh, so like me. Cypher says. And here's the thing. So this is a lot of my friends that I've known who are in the Legion have been really surprised, uh, because when they came to Ukraine, they heard about how, frankly, I mean, we're talking about young men here, or maybe not necessarily young men, but just men, right? They heard about all these beautiful Ukrainian women, single Ukrainian women here, and they were like, "Yeah, let me go to Ukraine. I'm gonna get myself a Ukrainian girl. You know, I'm gonna have Ukrainian women all over me." They're all excited about this. I've heard this many, many times. And then get so disappointed because, first of all, they're deployed out to frontline areas mostly where it, everybody who's still living in those little tiny towns out there on the front line, just to go to the deep state map here. So if you're out here in Chasiv Yar area where the big offensives are happening. This is Avdiivka. There's not going to be a lot of young single women here. Okay, you're it's chances are low, unfortunately. But also there's they're finding that there's more of a stigma. In other words, as a man in the United States, maybe Australia, maybe Great Britain, if you walk into a bar wearing a military uniform, um, you're gonna have the women all turn their heads. Like, ooh, look at that guy. And maybe some of the men too. You know, um, yeah. Cipher says, yeah, mistakes of listening to the little man below. Yeah, and here in Ukraine, unfortunately, the um there's not uh that kind of regard for soldiers, historically speaking. Now that is obviously changing rapidly, quickly. Okay. um wow, Cheryl, I have a book called Trigger Point Therapy for Myofascial Pain. Okay. Link it to me, or shit, I don't know, go into my Discord and take some screenshots of the part about back injuries. I'm all about it. But I think that I just need to be doing the exercises that I am doing, and according to all the research I've been doing, there's these certain things. It's the McGill Big Three. There's three primary exercises, and then there's a bunch of others that, as I'm getting better, that I can start doing. I'm going to start going back to the gym this next week. That's my goal, but I still have to be careful and take it slow and blah blah blah. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I keep talking about the cultural changes happening in Ukraine, and that's a big one. The other thing that I think is not getting talked about, but we need to speculate on in terms of oh, thanks, Cypher. Free video editing software. Okay, yeah, thank you for telling me that it's not spyware. Okay, thank you. So a lot of Ukrainians, just to be clear here, starting in the Russian Empire. Okay, Ukrainians were forcibly migrated, forcibly sent all over uh, the Russian Empire, and then especially under Stalin, starting in the 1920s, and then the Holodomor in the 1930s, and then during World War II, uh, almost all of the Tatars from Crimea were accused of helping the Nazis and put on cattle cars and shipped across to Siberia or Vladivostok or Novosibirsk or wherever, and thousands of them died. In the winter, stand-up room only in a cattle car, women and children. Awful, awful stuff. So the question becomes, the question that's being asked in this article is when high and wow when oh my god, I can't talk. Okay, hang on. Here we go. Caffeine. I finished my coffee. Now I'm on to tea. When, how, and why did the largest Ukrainian diaspora disappear from view? So it says the exact number of ethnic Ukrainians in Russia is not known, but their presence is not only a thorn in the side of the Kremlin, but a potential source of upheaval within the Russian Federation. I mean, I talk to Ukrainians every day who were born in Russia or who spent a significant part of their lives. Il Pirata, thank you. Hello. Welcome. And by the way, I want to thank you for your purchase a while back on my website here, Il Pirata. That it enabled me to buy plates and a plate carrier. So I just spent like 30 minutes talking about it, though, so I'm not going to bore everyone with details, but you can go back and watch all about that. So, I'm thinking about this in the context of, for example, the elections right now. So we know what's happening in we know that what's happening in Ukraine, in Russia, for example, is we've got cases of here. I'll bring it up on my screen here. We've got cases of here. All right, that's what I'm looking for. There we go. So, election centers being blown up like this.
Вот, видишь, она внизу.
No.
Вот, встала. Вот, видишь? И снимает. Сейчас телефон достает и снимает.
They're starting a fire. Right? Pretty nice to see. Yeah. It's like arresting her immediately. Yeah. So this kind of stuff is going on, and a lot of those people are Russians, to be sure, but a lot of them are also probably historically, arguably, holy shit, Il Parada. Thank you very much. Dyakuyu. Wow. Thanks, man. Il Parata, I want you to know that wow, that's astounding. That, you know what? That will pay for 2 weeks of videos. On my, I just hired a video editor, so That's enough to pay for her income for 2 weeks. No joke. Yeah, didn't see a confirmation from Sakai, but I do reckon it's added to the total. Yeah, there is an Estonian movie called Gulag 113. Yeah, really gives a feel for what happened. Yeah, yeah, yeah. By the way, Il Pirata, I want you to know that the way that I remember your donation, because everyone has, their real names, and I don't ever want to share people's real names unless they want me to. But the way that I recognized your donation is that you messaged in our chat here that you were on a train crossing into like Poland or something, and you had to use like a VPN and all this other stuff to connect. And the reason I realized it was your donation is because Shopify flagged it as potentially fraudulent because it was going through like a VPN and the address didn't match address. Your card's address didn't match the IP address or something. It said it was some warning of that nature. And I realized, oh, I know whose that is. Yeah, you were on a bus. Yeah. So that's how I knew it was you. Anyway, so thank you for not being fraudulent. I appreciate that. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, there's a ton of even Starsky, right? So our dude, let's see, do I have? Oh, I need to go down. Oh no, forget which page I'm on. Yeah, this guy, right? I mean, he was born in Russia, you know. So think about this as not a lot of these people. I even have students who they are not quote unquote ethnically Ukrainian. Their family moved to ethnically Ukrainian, as in like their family came from like old Ukrainian Cossacks or something. Their family moved to Ukraine during the Soviet Union or after the Soviet Union for whatever reason. Just like Starsky, I don't know if his parents, or I don't know if he is ethnically Ukrainian or ethnically Russian. I mean, it's how do you tell the difference? To me, they all look the same, but they make a big deal about it. So, uh, don't get mad at me, okay? But the thing is a lot of times it's about the mental state. That's the most important thing. Is the holy shit balls that that pays for. Okay, so I've got her signed on for $25 a week. That pays for doubling her income and making more videos is what that pays for. Holy shit, man. Wow. Uh, thank you. That's all I'm gonna. Yeah, it's too early for that much math, is what I'm gonna say. Yeah, Sierski, it's kind of a Polish name. I mean, who knows? It's not about as ethnicity is the point here, really. Okay, so this question, unfortunately, a lot of the, let's see, uh, Ukrainians in Russia map. I've seen a map that shows like the density of Ukrainians across Russia. Pretty interesting. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's on Wikipedia even. All right, fantastic. The share of Ukrainians in the population. So look at that. So you go all the way across to the east here. Let's full screen this. Try to be able to look at the whole thing. Okay. And up here, that's probably some kind of an oil region. I think that's Irkutsk or something like that. There's all kinds of, you've got Ukrainians all over the place, right? I don't think they are a majority except in this one little area close to Kazakhstan. But then the question becomes, what percentage of those people consider themselves to be Russian? And right now, Wow, you'll be back in Ukraine April 18th. Wow, that's fantastic. Well, hey man, we should meet up. Any of you who are um planning on coming to Ukraine, uh I would love to meet up with you. If I have to come up to Kyiv, or if you can make it down into my region, please talk to me, and I be great. We'll do a live stream together or something. At least have lunch. We'll at least have lunch. Um, Happy to do that. Super awesome. Anyway, yeah. So these people who are out here in Siberia and up in the north, they went there for work. So in the USSR, there was no real work in Ukraine. So people went north to find work. But then a lot of people who are in the east here, like this Vladivostok sort of region of uh, Russia, are they were shipped there against their will, not willingly. So, and that's also true. A lot of Ukrainians were sent to. Thank you, Il Pirata. Wow, you're just like boom, and then out. That's amazing. That's hilarious. Thanks so much. I've met a lot of Ukrainians who were born and raised in Uzbekistan, and their family was forced to live in Uzbekistan for 40 years. Anyway, so it's a question as this election is happening, and as we're looking forward to uh, the future Russian revolution. I think that Ukrainians are going to play a big part in that. Right. So let's talk about this now. So hang on, I'm going to close up some of my windows because otherwise I'll lose track of things. So it's not showing up on the deep state map or anything like that, but we know for a fact that major raids, I'm not going to call them invasions just yet, but the Russian Freedom Legion, and two other, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name, the Siberian Legion, and then there's another one. And they are, taking territory along the borders here in these general areas. A big place that, oh, here we go. It's being shown. Pyotr. There we go. So deep state map is finally showing it. That's great. So they've got at least part of the village under their control. Do I think that this is going to be a long-term thing? No. At least I have my doubts about that. And here's the other village, Greveron, Kozinka, Glutovo. This is where they invaded on the last raid. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. Do you think finding 175 would be possible somehow? Okay. Yeah. And then there's another smaller one down here, right? In Nehoteyevka. That's where that appears to be. Tiny little village. But my theory is that they are going to try and hold this territory for the duration of the elections, and no more. I'll be incredibly pissed if they decide to, do more. But I mean, it's great. It's fantastic. The fact that they're actually using tanks and not just light vehicles shows that the Ukrainian army is also invested, essentially, and that's a big deal, very important. Yeah. So Borrell, so this is the guy from the EU, foreign policy chief, okay, and he's saying, I think this is accurate. Uh, the outcome of the Russia-Ukraine war will be decided this spring and summer. That doesn't mean it's going to end. That doesn't mean it's going to, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think this war is going to end for a while, a couple of years at least. But in many ways, this is the fulcrum of the war happening right now, when Ukraine is at its lowest level than it has been, when things are just we're in the clinch, man. Really, this is our tightest spot, and I've been saying that this whole time. So he's right. He says we have to increase our support to do more and quicker. I am pretty reluctant to even talk about stuff like this. I know, like, JP over at ATP Geopolitics and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Macron, France is really coming up." And to me right now, it's just words. And I think that, a lot of Ukrainians are going to be encouraged by this for sure. But at the same time, we are holding that reservation of, well, guess what? You know what? We heard this before. We heard Schultz, Olaf Schultz, saying whatever he called it, the Zeitgenbender or whatever it was, like, Germany's going to increase production. And this was at the beginning of the war. This is almost 2 years ago. He had this big speech. Everybody remembers, And yes, I understand Germany has donated a lot of things, but there hasn't been that Zeitgenbender or whatever it was. Somebody tell me what the Macron's big deal was. The Zeitgeist something. So to me, it's just talk. It's just talk right now. It's good. It's encouraging, but I'm not going to, I just hold it at arm's length with some suspicion. I understand people need to be encouraged and people need to feel good about it. And like JP, he, I listened to the whole thing and it was very good. He was talking about the AI. Mitch, Taurus, where's the Taurus? Right now, what Macron is talking about is he's just talking about talk. And it's what I see in his speech and in the interview that he gave, where I see him just coming to the realization of something. You can see the logical process going on in his mind. It's very fresh and new. It's a lot like an 18-year-old going through the process of realization that he has to get a job and work for a living, and that his parents aren't going to support him anymore. It's like that's what I see. That's the metaphor that I have in my mind when I see him talking, and that's a long, long way from actually having a job and a successful career or going to college or whatever seriously you're going to do. Okay. It's just beginning to have a taste of the reality. That's where I think this discussion is at. I don't think there's going to be French or any other countries, armies in a serious way marching into Ukraine with all the backup of, all the forces that they need. I mean, aside from a few advisors here and there and people to guard the embassies and maybe the missile systems, I want everything that Macron is talking about for Ukraine. I want that, but I will believe it when I see it. When I see the article not in future tense but in past tense, that's when I will say yay. Hooray. You know. Now, Russia, the article here, Russia is skirting NATO's red line. This is Newsweek. Yeah. Well, Macron's saying we have no red lines anymore, and Russia's saying we have no red lines. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about red lines, honestly. But so this is about the let's call it an attack, an electronic warfare attack on the British defense minister's plane. Okay. Where they took out the GPS signal. Now, it could be argued. So Grant Shapps was returning from a visit to observe NATO military drills in Poland when interference occurred close to the Russian Baltic enclave of Kaliningrad, right? So if you don't know where that is, let's look at it on Deep State Maps. By the way, I think here, okay, really quickly, it's just something I want to talk about just so I can close out this window. What do you guys think about this? So this was a Facebook ad. Yeah, I'm not even getting... There's a Facebook ad, and it says $39 for a DJI Mini 4 Pro. Do you guys think that's legitimate? It says it was some kind of an overstock or held by customs. And I want to believe it. This is not a normal price for a DJI Mini Pro. I believe that if I order this looks like a fake website to me. And if I try to order this, I'll probably get a cheap, Chinese knockoff it might be worth $39, but it's not going to be a DJI Mini Pro. There's a lot of these that I'm constantly having to deal with when I'm trying to look at things to buy for Ukraine. So anyway, I just wanted to show that to you. Yeah, it's cheap Chinese knockoff, fake, not true. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so here we are, Kaliningrad. Go away. Don't save. There we go. Wow, look at my computer is just dogging. Is it my computer or is it my internet? Let's see. I'm going to reload the page. There we go. That's better. So Grant Shapps was flying into Lithuania, and Kaliningrad has been blasting electronic warfare. Yeah, thanks, Flo. KK's GG. Greg Terry changes out the chips in a major drone purchase for $50 per chip. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Let's go to what I want to do is let's see. Grant Shapps plane 200 million. So basically, Grant Shapps was flying on a plane, a British plane, British government plane, and the Ministry of Defense in Great Britain didn't have electronic warfare defenses on it because they couldn't afford it. It wasn't in their budget. Right? Because Great Britain's Great Britain's military budget is too low. They're spending, I guess they're spending 2%, a little above 2% of their GDP, and it's not enough. And they're realizing it now, because the Russians could have, if they had wanted to, could have killed this the minister. Okay, could have killed the British defense minister. All right, no problems. Like, they were completely defenseless. No F-35s protecting them or anything else. And that was just in the case of them flying from Poland to Lithuania, not crossing over Kaliningrad or anything like that, just flying between NATO countries. So this is a big, huge freaking wake-up call, I hope, for Great Britain. Okay? But it's very interesting. I'm thinking about the take in the media, in this case, the American media. I don't know how to take this. I'm just really tired of hearing about red lines. I think that we just need to look at the fact, keep in mind the fact that we are at war with Russia. Okay? Those red lines are completely blurred now, and Russia's point here is to blur, not to skirt the line, but to blur the lines. And our concept of, oh, we're at war, we're not at war, just throw it out. Throw it out. Okay? Because, yeah, okay, they didn't take out his plane with a missile. Okay? But it was still an act of violence. Still an act of violence. To me, as a wireless network engineer, if somebody did that, I would consider it an attack. If somebody did that to my network, to my systems, I would consider it an attack. Now, in my line of work, it happens all the time. There are all kinds of unintentional attacks, but this, very intentional. Oh, okay. Jonathan says, where France can make a bigger difference is starting to build up friendships with Georgia and Azerbaijan. That's very interesting. Yeah. Help these countries start moving against Putin. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then we, of course, have Armenia trying to get into NATO. Of course, that puts you on the opposite side from Azerbaijan, but whatever. If Europe in general can kind of step in there and do some peacemaking and put, increase the stability in that area, that's going to go a long way with both countries. Even if, the U.S. becomes Armenia's ally, and France becomes Azerbaijan's ally, whatever. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, because there's some things going on between Turkey and Iran that I want to talk about. But a lot of this stuff, like what they did with Grant Shapps and Putler's, I can't even stand to look at him. Putler's talk about nuclear weapons, it's all psyops. It's all psyops. So Russia's President Vladimir Putin said in an interview with state media that Moscow is ready to use nuclear weapons if there is a threat to the existence of the Russian state. But there's never been such a need. Now, and very quickly, the next day, Peskov, Russia's foreign minister? No, Russia's, let's see, Peskov, Putin, nuclear. came out and said, no, wait. Here it is. Kremlin did not threaten the U.S. with nuclear weapons, because that is how the U.S. media went about reporting on it, arguably, and actually kind of lots of people, in fact, some YouTubers that I actually really like kind of went on and did this whole big thing about nuclear, and I think that is counterproductive ultimately. Thank you, Cheryl. The mouth of Sauron. Yes, let's stick with our theme, right? Thank you. Yeah. Oh, okay. So KK's GG. Yeah, there are some very influential oligarchs in all those countries, though, who made the bulk of their wealth in Russia, who hold sway in the governments. Yeah, in Georgia especially, it's very much true. So I just want to. I'm just going to cut off his face here so we can just look at his There we go. His little. Just see his double chin there. That's all I need to see. So they backed way off on this because they know, they're afraid. They know that they are not going to use nuclear weapons. And I think that we do have to go about this very carefully when let's say, when the Russian government falls. It needs to fall internally. It needs to fall apart from its own weight. But there are a lot of things that we can do to help make that happen. These incursions by, what? Okay, so these guys are arguably only there. So I'm talking about the Russian Freedom Legion and these Russian brigades. They're arguably only invading because of NATO arms. You can make that argument, okay? Because NATO is providing arms to the Ukrainians, and then the Ukrainians provide arms to these guys, right? So they could easily make the argument that, oh, this is a threat to the Russian state. I think they actually have made that argument. So are they nuking Ukraine? Are they nuking NATO now? No, they're not. So it's just a psyop. It's just a psyop. We do have to be careful when the house of cards crumbles, but right now it's just a psyop, and I just want to emphasize that. And I don't think it's useful to go and make a big to-do every time Russia mentions nuclear anything, because you're just playing into their propaganda, their FSB operations. I understand why everybody does it, and I have done it myself, but I think we have to get away from letting them set the agenda. And here's another example, and I've already spoken about this. Okay. I thought this guy died. I thought he was killed. So this is basically, Alexei Navalny's publicist, manager, organizer for his, the chief of his the late Alexei Navalny's campaign. Is like his campaign manager. I thought he was killed. In any case, they are doing investigations on it, which is fantastic. It says it seems to be the work of the Russian special services, apparently done through some recruited person. So it's very likely that they recruited probably a Russian sympathetic to, Putin, but ethnically Russian, but living in Lithuania. Not to be racist about it, but that's the most likely scenario. And It's something like 25% of the population in most of these Baltic countries are Russians. Because Russia did the same thing with the Baltic countries that they did with Ukraine. So they forcibly deported thousands and thousands of Baltic peoples, Estonians, Lithuanians, Latvians, sent them to other parts of the Soviet Union, and those people were made to forget their history. They were basically just brainwashed. Many of them were able to return. Some of them were able to return, but some of them were just absorbed by the Russian population, quite frankly. And then they, made a bunch of Russians migrate into those Baltic countries. And so now those people are living there, and a lot of them are still very sympathetic. What I have been told by Ukrainians is that if you want to get something from Russia into the EU, go to Lithuania or Latvia. Because there's a lot of stuff coming into the EU illegally through Lithuania and Latvia. Right. So speaking of Russian psyops, this is a UN report. Okay. And I don't know if anybody else has really been talking about this, but this needs to be like the biggest front page news of anything. I mean, it's just amazing that we have come down to the point where this is not the most important news. So, UN report, Russian torture of Ukrainian prisoners of war, widespread and systematic. Now, I've known this, we've known this, you've known this, but there's a lot of people who do not. A lot of people in America who have no idea that this is happening. Okay? That almost every almost every Ukrainian soldier is coming home with reports of torture. And it's so common, it's just, and I don't report on it every single time, but it needs to be. We can't let it. So it says here, in most facilities, the prisoners of war underwent a brutal admission procedure with beatings and electric shocks. One victim recalled being greeted with, "Welcome to hell." One Ukrainian soldier recounted his experience of torture in a correctional colony in Donskoy, Russia's Tula Oblast. Now, keep in mind, that's not in the occupied territories. That's not in Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, Crimean territories. This is happening in Russia. Okay. So, experience of torture in a correctional colony in Russia's Tula Oblast, resulting in broken bones, broken teeth, and gangrene. He attempted suicide, but was subjected to further beating. After his release, the soldier has been hospitalized 36 times. Okay. So I'm glad that the UN is finally getting a report done on this. Now, what's actually going to happen from it? Is anything actually going to come from it? Like, it's very interesting because yesterday I watched a video that was a reading from the official Russian soldiers manual, or supposedly the official Russian soldiers manual, and it had some really pretty good advice about surviving in trenches and how not to die. However, it appears that no Russian has read it. because I see the videos and none of them are following the advice that was given. Um, and one of the other pieces of advice in this manual, yeah, they castrate people, Cheryl. Exactly. But one of the other pieces of they actually in the manual they said if you get how did they say in this manual? I should bring up the video, but then it's like a 20-minute long video. In the manual, they said they don't they don't necessarily say absolutely that Ukrainians are torturing people. What they say is that in World War II, what they call the Great Patriotic War, soldiers were routinely tortured and even castrated, they say. And then they make the intimation that uh, the Ukrainians are doing the same thing because they're Nazis, right? And if you become a prisoner of war, that will happen to you. So that is what these soldiers believe, you know. And I think that aside from it, as according to the UN report, it is a systematic thing, but the justification is on the part of the Russian soldier is, well, they're doing it to us, so we can do it to them. But in the manual it says, we must treat Ukrainian soldiers who surrender with respect and dignity and charity. So there you have it. And here we are, right? Russian forces. Bell or Bella. Anyway, thank you for coming. And you became a member. Halflings. It's like you see, it's a Lord of the Rings theme. You start out as a halfling, and then you can move up, and eventually you can become like an elf or something. Thanks for coming, Bella. Appreciate it. Sorry that you have to come in and we're talking about such horrible crap, but here we are. So Russian forces attempting to turn Ukrainian teenagers into soldiers. In a disturbing violation of human rights, Russia is forcibly deporting Ukrainian teenagers, attempting to conscript them into the Russian armed forces. It's awful. So these are children who have been returned, but remember, the Russians themselves are saying 700,000 Ukrainian children. The Russians themselves, they're bragging about it, saying that they have abducted. Well, they don't say abducted, they say liberated 700,000 Ukrainian children. Okay. And let me just, so it goes beyond, all right. It goes beyond just, making them try to, teach them Russian songs and making them praise Vladimir Putin. Okay. It goes beyond that. It says here in the article, I was told that Ukraine was losing, that children were being used for organ donations there, and that I would be sent to war right away if he returned to Ukraine, in other words. Yermokhin recounted, I told them that if I was sent to the war, I would at least fight for my own country, not for them. Hey, I mean, he risked his life. I mean, thank God this Bogdan Yermokhin was able to come back. He made his way back to because he was 17, he turned 18. Anyway, so Yermokhin's experience aligns with reports from Ukrainian officials who say Russia's efforts targeted teenagers specifically so that it can be turned into soldiers once they reach 18. How cruel and evil is that? Like, let's take our enemy's children, let's kidnap them and force them, brainwash them into zombies so that they attack their own people, their own families, their own country. Think about how fucking evil and cruel that is. Just one in a long list of things. I just can't emphasize it enough. Okay. But I have to move on, right? Okay, so now we're going to start talking about some of the international things going on. You know, maybe a little bit more outside of Ukraine. But that have importance. So, you know, we talked about some of these things already, Macron and Grant Shapps and all of that, but I think that there are some important things happening out there. You may not know, you may not understand how important this is. Iraq bans PKK as security ties with Turkey gain momentum. This is going to be a little bit difficult to explain. And yes, Cheryl says, I saw the story of the teenage boy who they stole from a Kherson orphanage, recruited into the Russian army. Maybe that's him. He found out he had a grandmother in Germany who claimed him. I believe that is the correct one. That's who we're talking about. Now, okay, so this is something that's happening in the Middle East, and obviously, I don't spend a lot of time talking about things happening in the Middle East. You know, I have opinions on it, and there's important things going on there, but I'm focused on what has direct relevance to the Ukraine war. Okay. If you don't know what the PKK is, the PKK is the Turkish forces for Kurdish self-rule inside of Turkey. Okay. So Kurdish areas map. So the Kurds are an ethnic people, and they are arguably the largest ethnicity in the world that does not have its own independent state. Okay, so here's a nice picture of their territory, where they live. So they live across 4 countries: Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Syria. Why are they important? Because I would argue they are the only organized force for democracy in the Middle East. And try to remember that we are in a war for democracy in this world. Ultimately, that's what the Ukrainians are fighting for, is a war for freedom. Okay. And all of these countries around here, Syria, Iraq, Iran, it's definitely not Syria, definitely not Iran. In Iraq is the only, Kurds always get screwed. That's right, Cheryl. And the reason that they get screwed is because they are organized. They are actually quite powerful. In Iraq, they are a minority, but they're a powerful minority. They have their own armies, and that's the Peshmerga and the PMG. Oh, okay. The PKK are essentially, now they were, or they are actually, a political party in Turkey, a legitimate political party. Now, they started out as a revolutionary force, and in the 1980s, they started out committing terrorist acts. And a little, think of them like Ireland's Sinn Féin. Okay. because they were fighting for their independence from Turkey, because Turkey was discriminating against them and continues to do so. And when I was in Turkey, I actually met some Kurds, and in general, they're very peaceful people. The most important thing is this dude, and he is dead now, but Abdullah Öcalan is, I know he has the big Saddam Hussein mustache here, but you really need to understand this guy was massively influential. He was head of the PKK in. I know I'm getting off the Ukraine topic a little bit here, but I need to set this in context for you. So this giant mustache dude, head of the PKK in Turkey, head of the Kurds, but he was imprisoned for more than 7 years. You know, he was abducted by Turkey in Kenya in 1999. From 1999 to 2009, he was a prisoner. Anyway, the point is, he wrote from prison. Yeah, YPG. Thank you. Yeah, the YPG fought ISIS for us. Okay, that's really, you know, they were our allies in Iraq and Syria. And to be quite frank, because they are being sacrificed so that they're being sacrificed by the EU and by NATO so that we can continue our alliance with Turkey. And in the meantime, okay, first of all, I need to talk about Öcalan. Öcalan is like their philosophical leader, and he, from prison, wrote a whole treatise on the philosophy of, and I just want to emphasize it here, the philosophy of democratic confederalism. He started out as a communist, but then moved towards just supporting just straight up democracy. And I would argue that the Kurds are the only organized ethnic group, at least in the Middle East, that supports Western style democracy, essentially. I think maybe part of the reason for that is that they're not all Muslim. They have a mixture of different religions. They are Muslim, Christian, and then they have their own religion, which is called, it has a name. Okay, Yazidis. Okay, and these, okay. Anyway, the point is, they stand for freedom. Okay, and they are being sacrificed on the altar of, I don't know. We need to be standing up. Our country, our Western countries, the United States, Europe, Australia, Canada, you guys, we need to make a stand. It's no longer about interests. It's this. Who's the Richard Nixon advisor, right? Who, he just died. He was, yeah, freaking Kissinger. Kissinger is dead. Okay? Kissinger is dead, and his philosophy is dead. Oh my God, I can't type. I'm so angry. I can't type. There we go. This guy is dead. His philosophy is dead. We have to stop thinking about in terms of just interests, like, oh, these guys have oil, so let's follow them. No, we have to take a stand for freedom and democracy. Yeah. So Jonathan, you just said, so let them take Syria. Yeah. Anyway, it's an important thing that's happening. This was the price of Sweden and arguably also Finland joining NATO. But these high level talks, okay, Iraq bans PKK security ties with Turkey, gain momentum. The Iraqi government arguably especially if they're banning the PKK. The Iraqi government is largely controlled by Iran. So just replace this word Iraq with Iran. Okay? Remember that Turkey is supposed to be our allies. Supposed to be. Okay? And now, through proxies, arguably, because of their common interest in obliterating a democratic movement, okay, they're essentially, Turkey and Iran are essentially allying with each other. That's the thing I want you to keep in mind here. That's the problem. That's the issue that I'm trying to bring up. That it's not said. You're not going to find a headline that says Turkey and Iran become allies against Ukraine. But keep this in mind and watch for it. Yeah, I was going to say, Dave, if you look up solely international, you find that some who fought with the Kurds against ISIS are now in Ukraine fighting against the orcs. Yes, that's exactly correct. A lot of the people who went to various parts of Kurdistan, especially in Syria, to fight, and they're not welcome in Turkey anymore, I can tell you that. American citizens, people from all over the world. Yeah. So when you see headlines like this, right? G7 issues warning to Iran not to send ballistic missiles to Russia. Okay, but Iran is sending ballistic missiles to Russia, right? If it says new and significant measures against Iran if the country moves ahead with sending ballistic missiles to Russia to use in its war effort against Ukraine. They've already been sent. Cheryl, you're talking about guys who fought. Sivdiv, for example, fought with the Peshmergas and YPG, or I don't remember which group he fought with, but yeah, lots of guys. I personally met people who said who did or claimed to have when I was in the International Legion. That's a good point, Jonathan. We need to increase education in Turkey. More education brings increased democracy and change. I agree with that, but the kind of education is what matters. In most Muslim countries, there's a lot of well-educated people, quote unquote. In other words, there's a lot of people with master's degrees and doctorates who can't find a job, essentially. And so, well, we can talk about that. I think that's a good discussion, and I'll kind of mark it down for future talks. But yeah, so this is happening at the same time that Turkey is essentially allying with Iran. Okay, so this is a problem, right? So we've got this. They have common cause to wipe out the Kurds. That's their ultimate goal. The stated goal of both Turkey and Iran. Iran is arguably we failed in Afghanistan because we failed to support, I would argue, failed to support education properly. I agree. So they have this common interest here in destroying democracy. Okay, and I believe that ultimately outweighs Turkey's interests in NATO. So at the same time that the G7 might be saying this, Turkey is saying, yeah, Iran, go ahead. Send your ballistic missiles to Ukraine. Sure, they're trying to play both sides. Eventually, they're going to have to pick a side. Turkey has a history of doing this. In World War I, for example, and I can't remember in World War II or not, but um, they have a history of trying to play both sides and losing. So it's like they're doing the same. History is repeating itself, or at least rhyming. All right, here we go. Next up, let's talk about Mike Johnson. Can we talk about Mike Johnson? You guys want to do this? You know what? Here's what we're going to do. I've been 2 hours. 2 hours. Yeah, I'm going to keep going today, guys, because I feel the need to talk about this. I think it's important. We need to talk about Mike Johnson. I want to talk about. I want to talk about. I want to talk about some other YouTubers. Like, God, I know I've been harping on JP. I love JP. Okay, but he has been really super like excited and positive. I mean, reservedly positive about what Mike Johnson's doing about helping Ukraine. I am not. I am not. So here's what I'm going to do. I've been going for 2 hours and I need to pee. So I'm gonna give me a couple. Give me 2 minutes. Yeah. Um, because I have to talk about this. I have to talk about what's going on. Ah, Jesus. Okay, we're gonna start off slowly. I'm gonna be right back. Listen to some music. Cheryl, if you guys need to go to bed, I know it's might be getting late in some places where you are, but I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna talk about this stuff because it's important. So yeah. Um y- KK's GG. Okay, I think there are some YouTubers who, although no longer fully guzzling, are still sipping the delusional Kool-Aid with respect to Muscovite Mike. He is, yes, thank you, Cheryl. Mike Johnson is using delaying tactics, Trump's favorite playbook. That's what's happening here. Okay, it's funded by orcs. Yeah, Flo, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I understand if you guys, if it's getting too late for you, totally understand. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about today before I wrap up, but it's so important that I have to talk about it. People like like JP, people who are outside of America and American politics, um, don't who don't understand how screwed up American politics can be, you know, uh, and how Byzantine, how labyrinthine um, the political maneuvering and backstabbing can be. And I mean, you know, uh, even some American pundits are saying, Mike Johnson suddenly seems ready to stick a shiv in Maga. The speaker is open to a standalone vote on Ukraine aid. No, he's not. This man is a snake. He is a snake in the grass. He looks like a freaking pedophile to me. He has that Jeffrey Dahmer. Like I honestly, I believe people like this. They will say things like, "Well, if we allow gays, then what's to stop people from becoming cannibals? If you don't believe in the Bible, what's to stop you from being a pedophile?" That's like, to me, when I look at people like this with this, calm, placid face and perfect hair, he's a creep, Max. Thank you. And this is the thing and I totally forgive JP for being, he's gonna have his heart broken, is what's gonna happen. I mean, I hate to say it, he's gonna have his heart broken. And but I mean, months and months ago, even Jake Broe was like, I'm gonna give this guy a chance, you never know. And now Jake Bro's like, he's a snake. Because we know, we Americans, we know. So this is one day ago. House Republicans will pass Ukraine aid after backing down on border demand. So, this is the British Independent, and they're reporting on this. And I'm just, he's muddying the waters. He's introducing competing bills. So for those of you who are outside of, America, if you have two bills that are about the same thing, and they both get passed, then there has to be this whole negotiation, and then they get merged into one bill potentially, and then that has to pass. And it has to pass both houses. The funding bill for Ukraine has already been passed in the Senate. If the House votes on it and passes it, boom, it's done. Oh, I'm most worried about Dr. Gerdes. Him being a conservative, he's naturally going to be hopeful that his party is going to do the right thing, But I'm not worried about Dr. Gerdes. We know whose side he's on. And the majority of conservatives in America support Ukraine. Yes, you have to understand the Russian mindset to understand the threat in one breath, and in the next act, confused by U.S. politics. Yeah, right. Well, it's because America has been the blazing symbol of freedom for the world, and so everybody wants to believe it. Yeah. So, guys, I mean, yes. Okay. So what he's talking about now is, instead of sending Ukraine money, we're going to give them loans. Okay. We weren't sending Ukraine. It's like Darren can't accept his party no longer exists. Listen, a lot of Republicans are in serious denial about what's happening in the Republican Party, and I almost feel bad for them. It's going to be sad to watch, Dr. Gerdes. It's also, it's going to be a cathartic experience, and maybe things will come out the better of this. And I'm talking about not just this situation, but with the RNC and all of that's going on, which I'm not really talking about. But I had seen that film about purity. KK's GG says I had seen that film about purity balls. I've got purity balls. Anyway, uh, years ago when it was made, and then he was elected to the House, and I was like, that's a creep. Yeah, he's a creepy dude. Okay, he's a creepy dude. Yeah. Yeah. Still hoping the Republican Party can be saved. Saved by who? Because Jesus, they say they're saved. Right? Jesus / Trump saved them. Trump is the new Jesus, right? Yeah. So they're introducing competing bills. The competing bills are now we quote unquote give Ukraine aid, which of course we're not giving Ukraine aid. We're giving money to we're giving money to American companies to refill our stocks with the crap that's sitting rotting in warehouses that we're sending to Ukraine in order to save money on storage. Okay. KK's GG. James, take that up with your wife, dude. So, um, so this is the lie that continues to be told that we're just sending, suitcases full of cash to Ukraine, and that's not true. That's not what America is doing. Okay, by and large. And then he's saying, well, we're gonna make them loans. We're gonna make loans. Okay, so that's how they're. I agree. They should do loans, lend lease. That was the point of lend lease. You don't need to replace that with something else. We have the mechanism. It's called lend lease. Okay. So now they're talking about another mechanism that's going to take all kinds of negotiation. Okay. He's just dragging it out. Why is he dragging it out? Because Putin has told him through Orban. So it goes from Putin to Orban to Trump to Johnson, right? Putin has said, hey, just hold out. Keep that aid away from Ukraine until the summer, until the end of May, early April. Early May, end of April, and we're gonna crush them. We're gonna do this. That's the plan here. Now it's not gonna happen. Ukraine is not going to back down. Yes, Russians are making advances in all of these areas. You can see all the red arrows here. Okay, Ukraine is fighting tooth and nail. The shells have from the Czechoslovakian thing. Yeah, that's right. It's stall, stall, stall. Well, we have to stall Russia. That's what's happening. The shells from the Czechoslovakian deal are not. They're saying they're not going to arrive until like June, and it's God knows it's probably going to get pushed back. It always gets pushed back. It always takes longer than you expect, even when you expect it to take longer than you expect. But at least the knowledge that's going to come has allowed the Ukrainian army to spend a little more of its shells, just enough. It's just enough to hold back this advance on all fronts. Thank God that Russia is mostly inept. The Russian army is mostly inept, but this is their plan. This is their plan. This is his plan. This is Putler's plan. Don't believe it. Don't believe a word that they say. Okay? Because this is the truth. Right here. Orban claims Trump said he won't give a penny to Ukraine. Now, I predict that they will that Mike Johnson, what he will try to do is let through just a tiny, tiny trickle of money, the littlest amount possible, so that he can still continue to talk smack about Ukraine aid, so they can still continue to talk smack about Joe Biden and say, oh, we sent all this help to Ukraine and it didn't make a difference because they're corrupt and Joe Biden is, a piece of shit or whatever. And now Trump's going to come and save us. He's going to end the war. That's what they're doing. That's the plan. And it's crazy. It's an insane world where the czar, the king of a country with the economy of Belgium, is playing puppet master to the largest, most powerful country in the world, and literally pulling the strings here. And yeah, Cheryl, then they got the border. Yeah, and it's all just, do not believe it. Snakes, snakes, snakes. And it's all going to come out in the wash. The truth, I firmly believe that the point of this meeting, as I've said before, was Trump needs funding for his campaign and to pay for his bail bondsmen, for his lawyers, for his criminal prosecution, for defending against his criminal prosecutions. And he's getting that money. He will be getting and has gotten that money, I believe, from Pyotr by way of Orban and other methods, And I think that the evidence is going to take years to find this evidence, but eventually, just like Trump is only being prosecuted now for things that happened, 7 years ago. Stormy Daniels and all of that. It takes a long time, and unfortunately, the elections are coming now, and okay, I promised that I was going to end with this, or wrap up with this at least, because I've got more. I'm going to do another live stream, probably tomorrow, which for me will be Sunday. So I'm going to do a Sunday live stream, because I did one last weekend and I really enjoyed it, because it's going to be at in the morning, Sunday morning in America. So, or like between 10 and 11, 10, 11, 12 in the USA in the morning. Yeah, Cheryl, exactly. Eric Trump said most of their money comes from Russia. Years ago. This relationship goes back years, okay? Decades. So, anyway, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's been pretty open for a long time. Sorry, Max. Well, I mean, if you're feeling fired up, then, toss me what is it? A coin for the Witcher or something? So I just want to remind everybody, look, I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but hand soap and dish soap are really important for the Army. This is going to the recruitment and training center for the International Legion. KKSGG, tell your grandbaby happy birthday for me. So, you're going to be able to watch in the morning. Oh, cool. That's super cool. I'm really glad about that. So, and I just want to emphasize again, when I was in the the Legion that I will be going back to, God damn it. There's 60 guys in a room, beds right next to each other, 2 feet apart, and COVID, half of our group had to go home or was hospitalized even, because everybody got sick. You got people coming from all over the world. So, and it's so incredibly important to keep hygiene in the barracks. And they literally don't have enough soap. We had to buy our own soap. We had to buy our own dish soap. We had to buy our own hand soap. We had to buy our own toilet paper, because we kept running out of it, because everything that the International Legion gets, except for the guns, is thank you, Dave. is donations. It's all donations. And thank you, Dave. I swear to God, I'm going to set up the PayPal this week. I'm going to get the PayPal going on the site. Okay. Oh, thank you for reminding me. I'm going to write that down, Jonathan. I'm going to write down right here. Bryden. You may promo codes. And I'm going to write Shotchkis. Because that's yeah, I mean, that's kind of what they are, right? Tchotchkes, like, magnets, handbags, I mean, souvenirs, let's call them, but tchotchkes. And yeah, I am specifically looking at companies doing that. Hang on, I don't want to show you how many tabs I have up. It's really kind of sad. But yeah, I'm going through and trying to find things like that. So, yeah. All right. Anyway, I want to thank everybody. Thank you all for coming. Yeah, pens in Ukraine colors. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm working on. So I want to thank everybody for your for attending, for coming today. Thank you for listening to my rants. For those of you sleeping or going to sleep, I hope you sleep well. We are safe here in Ukraine, at least where I am. Not everybody, of course, but at least me. Slava Ukraine and do побачення.